Good morning, friends. I'm just out taking a walk around my place. Wanted to bring you all along with me. I wanted to take a good walk in the vineyard this morning and see how things were looking. We've had a little bit of rain a couple of weeks ago. Well, after we put the nets on, we had some rain. So that put on a lot of growth for the grapes, and they grew right up out of those nets. Now that doesn't affect the grape ripening. It doesn't affect the vines, but it sure does make it hard to get the nets back off again. As you can see, the Cabernet are coming along, getting a little riper than they were the last time I filmed them, but they've still got a ways to go. And it's August. I mean, we're normally picking, so it's taken them a little bit longer this year to get on with their ripening. But as you can see, the rows are looking pretty good. Time to mow again. There's always something that needs to be done. Let's go see how the Tempranillas are looking. Ooh, those are looking really ripe. We would probably be getting out the refractometer and checking them right now and picking this weekend, August 3rd, if we didn't have the grandson's birthday. Corbin is turning 7 this year, and Corbin was in a video earlier on my blog. Little booger. We're going to go up to Great Wolf Lodge with the family and spend a day celebrating Corbin. These grapes are looking pretty darn ready. I like to just taste one through the net. It's always really tricky, but I can do it. They're good. Not all that sugary sweet, but half an inch of rain yesterday, which surprised us. It called for a little bit of rain in the area, but I sure didn't think it'd be right on our area. The garden's really happy, but I don't like it to rain on the grapes right before we pick them. You want them good and dry, so the sugar content is nice and concentrated in the fruit. The rain dilutes that out. So even if we didn't have Corbin's birthday party this weekend, we might have put off the picking another week because we want them good and dry. Now, if we just end up with a rainy late July and early August, which is practically unheard of, then we have to pick anyway, and we just know that that year's bottles aren't going to be quite as sweet. But that has its charm of its own too. The drier and less sweet wines are, it's just the personality of that year. But the vines are looking pretty good, other than the fact I need to weed eat and mow. And about time to check them. I'm going to walk y'all through our picking day and our processing day so you can see how we do that. But we're getting there. That's a lot of grapes, and they're looking pretty. Good deal. That's a shot of the back of the place, our bardominium. I'm always shooting videos of off the deck up there, and that's the deck. That's the back of the house. We spend lots of time. That deck is like another room for us in the house, and it's a relaxing place and a great view, and all the hummingbirds call it home as well. Walking into the garden this morning, I see a bunch of really happy plants. That half-inch of rain yesterday did them very well. It's going to be pretty hot today. I want to show you my zinnias. They've just really taken off finally. So I haven't ever grown zinnias, and I wasn't sure how this was going to go. It started out just one flower, kind of like this one. And I was like, well, that's kind of disappointing. Those don't look really full like other zinnias I've seen. And it was just one zinnia coming up on the stalk. And I was like, great, a whole plant just for one flower. But then as I kept watching it evolve, more and more petals from the inside start opening up until it's nice and full like this one. And isn't that a beautiful color? Crimson And then the plant started sending off side shoots, so each side shoot was getting a flower. So it's going to be a respectable zinnia someday. And now that I know how they grow, I can plant accordingly better next year. I just kind of threw those in front of the tomatoes because I had all that space there. And they've done really well, so they love the heat. They're nice and green. I know the soil's got in it what it needs. And the flowers last so long, you know. Some flowers just bloom and then they're gone, but this blooms and then all those other petals start filling out, and it's just a gorgeous flower. I'm enjoying them a lot. I am still getting some tomatoes, even though the plants are struggling with, you know, their leaves are curled up, but they don't seem to have blight yet, and they are still making tomatoes. These are my purple Russians. The flavor on them is good. It's not just wowed me, but it's good. It does not get a true purple color, not that I was expecting grape, you know, gumball color, but a little bit to it. And especially when I slice them open, I notice more of the purplish color than I do on the outside. But it's a beautiful shaped, pointy shaped tomato, and it's juicy but meaty, so really it's overall a good tomato. I'm just not wowed by the flavor. It's got that vine ripened tomato taste, which is awesome, but it's just not overwhelming. That's the best way for me to put it. But the plant has grown well and done well here. I will definitely plant it again, but like I had said in a previous video, I won't be planting it on this kind of trellis. I'm going to go with the cattle panel trellis. This has been pretty wobbly. Of course, we could put another stake in to stabilize it, but it's also not been tall enough. Look how tall these got. They've even gone over and tried to go up the cattle panels because they, you know, they're just taller than the trellising. Tomato plants can grow super, super tall, so it's hard to find a good trellis that'll hold the complete height of them. But if you're holding up a majority of the base, they're gonna hold up okay. I am getting all kinds of peppers. It's just been a great... Oh, and look at this little guy. Hello, Mr. Hornworm that's not supposed to be there. Too bad I'm not the kind of gardener that can just pick you off with my hands. Now I got to go get my tongs and start looking for more of you, because where there's one, there's more. Why are you invading my garden? I am going to stop filming right now and go take care of this situation. So yeah, tomato plants, I'm pretty much calling them officially done. It's just too hot. Their flowers aren't setting fruit. Most of them just fall off. They're really looking sick and blighty. There's a few green ones that could still turn, but they don't look their greatest. Yeah, tomato plants are just done. It is time for a beet harvest, and I think I'm going to have enough to do some juicing with the beets. They're ready. You can just tell they're a nice diameter. Their leaves look ready. Look at this one. Let's just pick it. My beautiful white beet. It has such a good flavor to it. We're gonna just go along picking some of these beets today and have a nice roasted beet meal tonight and save some for juicing. They just pop right up out of that ground. Before I did raised beds and I grew beets, I was successful in growing them, but picking them was really hard because the soil was so clay and not light and fluffy. And even though I did get beets out of them, these are just much easier to pick, and they look so healthy and nutritious. Let's just get these beets picked today. The other advantage is that leaves me this much garden space for more fall vegetables. And I did get some golden beets to plant for fall. So once I get all these beets picked, I think I'm gonna just go ahead and put the golden beet seeds in. I might check my guide first though. It might still be a little bit early for seeds to do well out here in all this heat, but if it's anywhere near time in my zone to direct sow my fall beets, they're gonna go right here. And I will add a little additives to the soil, a little compost and some vermiculite and probably some Trifecta Plus to get all the nutrients and the beneficial bacteria back in the soil that the beets sucked out. Awesome. And there we have it. My modest beet harvest. Chogia and white beets. They could be bigger. I may have to look into, I don't know. Again, remember, every time I talk, I planted late. They might have done better if I had planted early, but that's not a bad haul. Those smaller ones are going to be very tender, and I'll probably roast or juice the larger ones. But great beet harvest. Remember, the greens are edible, of course, in salads or wilted. I don't enjoy beet greens that much, so the chickens are going to get themselves, and the ducks and geese, or all the birds are going to get themselves a really nice treat today. I decided I really should share one of my fails of the year, and that was my big giant sunflowers. Now, they weren't a fail in my enjoyment and my joy. I will grow them again because they were beautiful. They were such a beautiful thing to grow. But once I picked their heads and hung them down to dry, I thought, I started this endeavor to give the yard birds, the bird yard birds, a treat. But then when I saw what beautiful heads they made, I was like, no, I need to do something with these gorgeous sunflowers. So I read all about roasting them. You boil them first, roast them, use whatever flavoring you want. And I got my camera all set up in the kitchen. I was going to spend a day showing y'all how I go through, or, you know, the process I was going to go through to roast these beautiful seeds of these gorgeous and huge sunflowers. And then when I started picking them I actually turned the camera on. I didn't ever publish that video because none of the seeds had any kernels in them. They were just completely empty sunflower seeds. They made a gorgeous seed, and there was nothing inside. That one actually, oh yeah, another one, another empty one. So I stopped that filming endeavor, and I was like, okay, I still have some more sunflower pods out there. Let me see how those go. Well, I cut them, and I put them in a cool, dark place to dry. And then when I went back, a few days after cutting them, putting them in there, they were completely covered with mold. That's all mold. And I didn't even want to try and process them at that point. I know the mold won't hurt the poultry, so I went ahead and brought them out here to them. And honestly, Goose, can I please talk? Honestly, they don't even seem that interested in them. Of course, I'm out here giving them their Grubblies right now that have 50 times the calcium in them and all kinds of other nutrients that they need for their shells and for their feathers. So I started buying this wonderful subscription Grubblies brand, which you can just Google up for your own birds. Farm grown, right here in America, with lots of nutrients, dried worms that are a really great treat for poultry. But anyway, as long as these are in here, they're not going to be paying attention to the sunflower seeds. Oh, aren't you pretty? Flying over for your Grubblies. Anyway, yeah, the sunflower seed harvest was kind of an epic fail for me this year, but that's okay. You live and you learn. I need to store them somewhere else next time I'm drying their seed heads and not let them get mold. But if they do get mold, just like every other food source around here, nothing goes to waste. These birds or my ranch dogs or my barn cats or the buzzards or something out here is going to eat it. Everything gets used. Hi, Mother Goose. You're so pretty. So pretty. The pheasants are really starting to get all of their beautiful colors on them now. They're still kind of that awkward teenager stage where they're not quite grown, but you can really start to see some of the colors showing up on them now. When they're fully grown, we are going to release them, and come what may. But I've really enjoyed the pheasants this year. Anyway, friends, I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me every time that you do. I didn't have a whole lot of content to publish today, but it had been long enough. I needed to get something out. So I just threw a few things together for y'all. And I will really pick this up when it's time to harvest the grapes, and we're working on the grapes. But meantime, thank you so much for your subscriptions, for your attention, for your following me. Comment. Tell me what more you'd like to see. Like this video. Subscribe to my channel. I wish you all find your peace.